Olá, meu amigo, grande evento hoje aqui no Palácio Tangará. A Weinhaus está bombando aí, fazendo coisas com muita elegância. Me conta um pouco o que vamos ter hoje.
Seja bem-vindo, Didu. Hoje a gente está com a presença do nosso amigo Charles Thomas, do Chateau Côtes Tournelle. E hoje a gente vai oferecer para vocês uma degustação com a presença dele, finalmente, né, depois de um período de distanciamento, né? Então hoje ele está aqui conosco para mostrar o Chateau La Mascaronne, uma propriedade que eles compraram tem mais ou menos 2 anos em Provence. Então hoje a gente vai degustar um vinho branco da Provence, 2 rosés e um tinto também maravilhoso. E mostrar o clássico e o terroir da Provence, que é o que eles primam nesse chateau, nessa filosofia de trabalho deles.
Mas isso não é tudo por hoje, ainda tem mais coisa.
Tem, depois uma surpresa, não mais surpresa, mas a gente vai estar como estamos com o diretor do Côtes Tournelle, a gente vai ter também uma degustação ímpar, com várias safras de Côtes Tournelle e Côtes Tournelle branco também, que é maravilhoso.
Maravilha. Obrigado pelo convite.
Obrigado a você, Didu. Perfeito, pessoal, depois vai chegando, a gente vai atendendo. Todos muito bem-vindos. Ocasião muito especial para a gente. Após um período longo de distanciamento, Charles finalmente veio nos visitar e veio também nos apresentar pessoalmente o Chateau La Mascaronne, a nova aquisição do Chateau Côtes Tournelle, na Provence, um chateau que foi adquirido por eles tem mais ou menos 2 anos e que a gente, com muita felicidade, representa e importa aqui para o Brasil. Tá? Mas isso tudo vocês vão ouvir com mais precisão do Charles. Tá?
In Côte de Provence, it's very trendy. It has been very trendy for the last 5 or 6 years, and all the main groups, are investing heavily in Côte de Provence to basically develop the brand, develop the appellation, and we are very happy that Michel Rébier, the owner of Côtes Tournelle, start his adventure in Côte de Provence was 3 years ago with La Mascaronne, and more recently he also purchased another chateau called La Lausade, was like last year. So he's also investing in Côte de Provence. But besides Côte de Provence and Côtes Tournelle, we also have a Tokai in Hungary called Edsele, which is not yet in Brazil, but I have strong hope we can enter in the next months to come and the next years to come. And a champagne house called Jeeper, which is the same story as Edsele. We need to be more on the market here. And I believe in the market here because I've been here for the last 5 or 6 years, and I can see the evolution of the sales. Of course, you have a couple of taxes here, which makes the price at the end a bit more difficult, But step by step, we are growing here. Let me just go through the PowerPoint here. I think I will take about 20 minutes of your time just to explain the context of the estates. And then we'll go through the tasting. We have, I think, 4 wines to test of La Mascaronne, the 3 colors, the white, the red, and of course the rosé. And the rosé takes about 90% of the production. The rosé is the flagship, if I can say, of the estate. So what's the picture we had from a helicopter in Chateau La Mascaronne, which is, by the way, a very nice estate. If you have a chance to go to Provence at some point, feel free to call Olavo. He has a contact there, and basically, to have a nice tour in the estate. It just, from Marseille, it's about 1 hour by car from the airport of Marseille. So it's again, it's a very nice place to see. And of course, once you are there in Provence, and then you have all these nice places, the beach, the beach side, Saint-Tropez and Nice, all these places, which is very nice as well to visit. And the red is stable as well. But the white is, we have a rising demand for the white. And the same happens in Bordeaux as well. We just spoke this lunch, for the white wine in Bordeaux and other part in France. And when you see the rising price of Burgundy white, I think there will be a transfer of the demand going from other white in France. And it's quite interesting because when you think about the hits we have at summertime, and then we'll see later, but we still managed to do very fresh white wine, you know, mainly made of Rolle, Vermentino, the same grape, and a bit of Sauvignon as well. The rosé, I think we can probably the
Yes, we're ready.
and then for the white as well. And for the red. So we start with we will start with the white. Thanks. And the red, we have the family here, you know. Now all the three colors, you know, they have the same label. And that label you have here in the sheet you have here is basically was before Michel Javier became the owner of the estate, called Vita Bella, the same basically as this one. It's 2019 vintage, and now we are selling more 2020 vintage. You know, it's like 3 years after. You can see, you know, you have the blend just below here. It's 90% Vermentino, where Vermentino is the same grape as Rolle. We have to call it Rolle now, and 10% Semillon. And in terms of wine making, it will stay only in stainless steel tank. You know, we don't have any wood contact, only for the red that we have here as well in the last part of the tasting. And you can feel, you know, the warmth of the Semillon and the straight side of Vermentino. And what I like in this wine from Côte de Provence again is the freshness and the right acidity you can have, you know. And again, we have 2019 here, but you can feel, you know, the aging potential. For me, this 2019 can age like 3, 4, 5 more years, you know, if you, as long as you have a nice wine cellar, you know, and whatever has one, you know, to let you. So I'm very confident about that. And the same goes for the rosé we'll see after, you know. So the winemaker Nathalie Longefay, you know, she actually just select parcels, you know, and then with the white, the rosé, some pressurage direct, you know, and then to just do the assemblage just after fermentation. The rosé we do is a red wine. Again, you can age it for the times. And because again, as we do in the vineyard, we just select some parcels, we just do some pressurage direct, and then we do the assemblage a bit later by selecting the best lot, you know, going into the wine. That's how we do in La Mascaronne. And that's why the rosé that you produce can age across the times. I think it's a big debate in Côte de Provence, you know, to be less dependent of the vintage. We have to work on this as we did in Champagne like 20, 30 years ago. We have to do the same in Provence, just to speak less about the vintage. I think we should speak more about the wine and about the terroir. And this is what we do in La Mascaronne, as you can see here in my on the screen. You know, we have a real terroir wine and a gastronomical rosé. And again, the rosé can age across the time. You have the blend here, you know, Cinsault, Grenache, Syrah as well. And all these first grapes I just mentioned, you know, will also age to maintain the wine very fresh across the times.
Charles, with age, what's changing in the rosé?
Well, you have, at least, you know, you can feel the different aroma, you know, like in the red wine, you know, if you take the Syrah and Grenache, altogether is 70%, you know, so the majority of the blend here, you know, and you can feel some more mature aroma, more, I would say, elegant aroma across the time. Of course, I won't age it for 10 or 20 years, you know, it's not a red wine after all. But
Okay.
which I like, is not a marketing rosé. It's a real wine, a real terroir wine that can age across the time and will give you the flavor of maturation of the wine.
Thank you.
Gente, mais uma vez, obrigado. Estamos aqui agora para o grande finale, junto com o Charles, os vinhos do Côte de Tournelle. Dispensa apresentações e, obviamente, o Charles vai, enfim, jogar a gente, desfrutar a gente com mais informações sobre a história da vinícola, os vinhos em si e respondendo qualquer questão técnica que a gente queira ou precise saber. Okay? Charles, one more time, thank you very much for being here, and of course one more time with the now Chateau Côte de Tournelle.
different place, different appellation, different history, but the same passion and the same honor as the Mascaronne we had this morning. I will just go through this short presentation because I don't want to hide myself behind the PowerPoint. I'd like to show you here a couple of just two movies, short movies, in terms of what we do at Kos, Gravity and Terroir. Just to show you a bit, I'm sure you went, or at some point you will have a chance to go to Bordeaux and to visit us at Kos Estournel. But meanwhile, I'd like to show you a few things and the history of Kos Estournel as well, and why we have this. You can see here, why we have this unique shape of the chateau, this unique architecture. And we just say a few words about it. So first of all, I would like to start just with the basic things, with the appellation, with the geographic things. So you have Bordeaux here, of course, and then you have more into detail. We are a little bit, so Bordeaux is somewhere here, and then you have Margaux. It goes through Saint-Julien, Pauillac, and we are just after Pauillac in Saint-Estèphe. So for me, when I go to Kos, like every morning, I'm living in Bordeaux, by the way. So by car, just to give you an idea, by car it takes approximately 1 hour to get there from Bordeaux to Saint-Estèphe. The road is doing this way, the express road. So Kos is here, just alongside the Gironde River, Gironde estuary. And then we'll see later, because for the masterclass is mainly about whites, then the whites is produced here in the Port de Goulet. So from here to here, it's about 25 kilometers. So it's very important in France, we like to speak about terroir, and it's very important to understand the terroir has also a strong link with the Gironde estuary, because the impact of the Gironde is huge for us, because it's like a shelter, it's like it's when it's very hot, it's giving some freshness, and when you have some warmth, during the summertime, it's giving some coolness as well. So it's very important to understand this. Bit of history, and just to understand a bit about the background of Kos Estournel. You have this gentleman called Louis Gaspard d'Estournel. So he was at the beginning, the founder of Kos Estournel, Louis Gaspard d'Estournel. So hence we have Kos Estournel as per the name of the founder. And this guy, was one of the only Bordelais, and the only Bordelais to go in India, trying to sell his wine there. So he spent some time in India, selling his wine in India. And then, when he moved back to Bordeaux, he decided to pay tribute to India, and that's why in the early 80s, 30s, he decided to pay tribute to India and to build this chateau, the one you have here, in line with the Indian style, with the Mughal style. I'm not sure if you went to India, but if you go to the Taj Mahal in Agra, close to Delhi, you have this kind of architecture. So it's very unique in the Medoc, to have this chateau. When you go there, you just wonder yourself, wow, it's very strange to have this architecture, such an architecture in the Medoc. It's very oriental, exotic. And I'd like to say a few words about the terroir here. So this is an old picture, so basically, Kos in Old French, in Gascon, is meaning hill of people, and you have the hill here, right? And this is again what he's doing to making the terroir, with a bit of layers, large layers of gravel, and underneath you have the clay. But all these gravels, is what we call the terroir in Bordeaux. And all the vineyards discussed, and all the vineyards surrounding the chateau, on the hill. And I like to show, well, it's a bit technical here, but I like to show this. It's a bit of, we have 95 hectares in Kos, and like 10 years ago, we decided to know exactly what we have, underneath, under our feet, and that's why we try to come back with the exact composition of the soil, and we have this very sharp map, explaining, which shot we have underneath. And then once we know that, we can fit with the right blend, with the right cepage, on it. And green part here is mainly made of Cabernet Sauvignon. It's 75% Cabernet Sauvignon. And the rest, the purple part is more Merlot, and then the rest is more like a Petit Verdot and some Cabernet Franc. This is the average of the composition in the Médoc, all the Médoc wine, maybe not Margaux, but Saint-Julien, Poyal, Saint-Estèphe, and the Médoc always have a big majority of Cabernet Sauvignon. And the right bank, of course, you will have more Merlot because the soil is very different.
A été repensé afin de respecter au mieux le raisin, et la première étape c'est de monter le raisin au-dessus des cuves pour pouvoir le mettre en cuve sans pot. Les raisins sont mis dans des cuvons qui va permettre leur transfert en cuve, et on voit que les raisins arrivent en cuve et sont plus intègres. Donc c'est dans cette cuve que le raisin va fermenter. Les raisins ayant été mis en cuve avec beaucoup de douceur, le chapeau de marc qui va se former en début de fermentation va être plus aéré. Le vin rouge n'est pas tout le raisin, il n'en est que la meilleure partie. Donc il faut que l'extraction soit maîtrisée grâce à la gravité et à l'intégrité conservée des baies et du chapeau de marc. Les pépins sont toujours protégés par la pellicule, ce qui permet de maîtriser l'extraction. L'intégrité des baies fait qu'une partie de la fermentation se passe à l'intérieur de la baie. Il s'agit de levures indigènes qui vont apporter une complexité supplémentaire au vin. On travaille le vin uniquement pendant la fermentation, c'est-à-dire pendant 4 à 6 jours. Plusieurs fois par jour, on va vider la cuve de son jus et remettre le jus par-dessus. Donc ça fait des mouvements verticaux qui vont décomprimer le chapeau, qui sont couplés à des mouvements horizontaux dus à la forme tronconique de la cuve. Tout ceci permet une extraction plus complète. Lorsqu'on pense qu'on a pris le meilleur du raisin et qu'il faut laisser le reste, on écoule la cuve. C'est-à-dire qu'on sépare définitivement le vin et ses parties solides. À l'écoulage, le vin médique coule par gravité en cuve. Le marc se pose au fond de la cuve et nous procédons au pressurage. Nous utilisons des presseurs verticaux. C'est le principe ancestral du pressurage qui permet de presser tout en filtrant naturellement lorsque le jus passe par le marc. De nouveau, à ce stade, on retrouve l'intérêt de la gravité raisin, puisque le marc est en meilleur état, il est plus filtrant et il va donner de meilleurs vins de presse. En décembre, nous procédons à l'assemblage. C'est précoce, nous le faisons avant la mise en barrique. C'est d'autant plus important que nos vins sont issus d'un terroir au sol très divers. En général, le cos d'Estornel est élevé en barrique pendant 18 mois et le pagode de cos pendant 12 mois. Pendant l'élevage en barrique, nous procédons au soutirage en continuant d'utiliser le principe de la gravité qui permet une décantation parfaite. À la fin de l'élevage, nous vidons les barriques en utilisant la gravité pour les remettre en cuve avant mise en bouteille. C'est une étape où le vin est très fragile et où la gravité est cruciale. La mise en bouteille est la dernière étape du travail du vin. Nous utilisons la gravité qui nous permet de travailler à basse pression et de préserver jusqu'au bout la complexité du vin. Du raisin à la bouteille, le vin est soumis à des dizaines de mouvements. Il est fondamental de le respecter à chaque fois. Ce schéma gravitaire, précurseur, a été imaginé pour cela. Notre seul but est que dans nos vins, on puisse lire au mieux la grandeur et la complexité de ce terroir fascinant. La situation proche de l'océan et de la Gironde permet de modérer les extrêmes de température, permet d'apporter une lumière plus intense, plus blanche grâce à la réflexion de l'eau et ensuite permet une ventilation très bénéfique pour la vigne. Cos est en bordure de plateau, en bordure du plateau graveleux, avec un coteau est et un coteau sud qui permettent un meilleur drainage. Le coteau sud est particulièrement intéressant parce qu'il permet de mieux capter l'énergie du soleil. Ça peut être décisif certaines années pour faciliter la maturation du raisin. Le coteau est est quant à lui très intéressant par son ouverture vers la Gironde, donc très ouvert au vent frais en été. Il est aussi très intéressant, notamment pour le cépage Merlot. Le coteau ouest bénéficie du soleil du matin en été. C'est le soleil doux, très efficace, et il protège les raisins par contre en fin d'après-midi du soleil qui peut être un peu plus agressif. Le plateau graveleux au sommet de notre vignoble repose sur des graves mêlées à de l'argile, qui reposent elles-mêmes sur des argiles très pures, qui reposent elles-mêmes sur des marnes, puis sur le socle calcaire. Notre position de bordure de plateau fait que nous pouvons avoir 2 ou 3 sols différents sur une même parcelle, ce qui nous a poussé à mieux connaître ces parcelles pour en faire un traitement intraparcellaire. En plus d'un terroir unique, nous avons un vieux vignoble dont la moyenne d'âge est supérieure à 55 ans, et les vieilles vignes sont très intéressantes parce qu'elles ont un enracinement profond qui permet de lire vraiment le terroir de façon plus forte. Et ces vieilles vignes se sont adaptées année après année, décennie après décennie, à notre sol, au climat et parfois aux extrêmes du climat. Ça constitue un patrimoine tout à fait unique, un patrimoine végétal unique que nous devons préserver. Finalement, Cos, c'est une diversité de sols, d'expositions, d'âge de vigne, de patrimoine végétal. C'est aussi une position unique entre l'océan et la Gironde. Cette diversité donne naissance à des raisins puis des vins, souvent très différents d'une parcelle à l'autre. C'est ce qui explique l'incroyable profondeur et complexité d'un grand Cos.
I did, the whole terroir, in 2 different parcels, divided by the white lines here, and by about 80 of them, and each of them are going through a tank, vats, and this is how we can then combine them together and do the assemblage. This morning I just said a few words about what we do in La Mascaronne, and in Corse, we just have this big, terroir divided by 80 parts, and then vinify in different tanks for each of them, and then we do assemblage, and afterward we decide which one is going for Pagode de Corse and which one is going for Côte d'Estournel. This is how we do. And then the gravity system, as we just saw in the previous video, is helping us, by being even more sharp in doing the wine. We do gravity to be more tender with the juice, to interfere less in the winemaking process, and to be even more sharp in the process of winemaking. This is how we do wine at Côte d'Estournel. I'm sure you went there and you could see all the cellar we have, and we had to dig for 5 years to use and to make the gravity system working, because you have then all the tanks system, or the vats room, and then you have below, one level below, you have the aging room, the chevrique, and one level down again you have the bottling process, the embouteillage, as we call in France. So it takes some time. It took some time to have all this wine in Côte d'Estournel.